The starting pitching concerns, they're here, but you could inject some confidence with an addition. Let's go.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making Locked On Cubs your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Kicking off another week here on the show, and today's Monday episode is presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel. New customers join today. You'll get $150 in bonus bets with your first bet of $5 or more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Jameson Taillon was scratched minutes before his spring training debut on Saturday with lower back tightness. Taillon had delayed his game debut due to an adjustment with the stride and calf soreness. And now you can add this setback to the list. Manager Craig Counsell said Sunday that Taillon hasn't improved yet. And while his first time through the rotation is in jeopardy, there is not concern for a long-term absence. But Sam, before we discuss a possible addition who would inject a lot of confidence in the rotation, what are your concerns with the Cubs starting rotation as it currently stands?
Well, let's just start with the right-hander Taillon. This is somebody, as Canario pops up on the infield, this is somebody I might do a little bit of play-by-play blurbs on the show. I have the game on because I want to tease my Saturdays.
Oh, you're testing it.
I want to tease my Saturdays with Sam. I'm going to be doing some watch-alongs this year at 120 games. I'll officially announce that at a different time.
So you're testing your setup.
Yeah, I'm just testing my setup and testing, I want to see if listeners find it comical, which, I'll probably get crushed. Look, you and I actually had a very rare Saturday evening texting exchange where we talked about Johnny Carson and David Letterman. And I made a tweet. Taillon right now just has the feel of there's always something with him.
All right.
And I'm not talking about just injuries, Matthew. Early on, he just didn't get off to a good start, and we thought, it's just bad luck. The FIP looks good. Then it was, he's just giving up a ton of home run balls. And then it was the lefties. And then he had some soreness. And then the second half of the season, especially towards the end, you didn't really hear much, and he was pretty solid. And now this year, there was a calf problem. There was a motion change. Now there's back tightness. It's just, I'm getting concerned because this was a pretty big investment about, is he going to put it together? Now, the good news is this. We had the same conversations about Seiya Suzuki, remember first half of the year, Seiya was different. He started out year one great. Then he got injured. Then he kind of tailed off. Then last spring, it was the oblique. And then by mid-June, he wasn't great. Late July, he gets benched. And then the last 2 months, he really put it together. So we're and these are why these two guys are at the top of my list of keys for this team, because they have the ability, especially Suzuki, to really carry this club. But you just want to see it. I want to see a 6-month period of it. And I'm just concerned that Jameson Taillon is not going to be able or be capable to be very good for 6 months as Bush grounds out to second. And that's where I'm at right now. With Taillon, I have concerns. As far as the rotation goes, fine with Hendricks. He always gets roughed up in the spring. Fine with Steele. The Imanaga stuff is at least, and this will be something hopefully we could ask Lance. We're going to hopefully have Lance Brodowski on the show this week about Imanaga because, he's getting a ton of whiffs.
Right.
He's not using all his pitches, but he in 2 starts, he's in 6 innings, he's given up 2 tanks. So there's definitely some concern, and it leads to the fact of why you and I both, especially me, all offseason, said you needed to add 2 starting pitchers, not just 1. And so let's segue into that.
Well, absolutely, because really you have, if Taillon can't go his first or second time through the rotation, then in my mind, you really have to treat it as 2 spots are open because the fifth starter was open already. There's a competition there, and now another spot is open. And I am concerned because I personally had Taillon, for competitiveness reasons, for reasons that you're saying in terms of maybe use a word like redemption. I had him penciled in that 2 spot. Hey, throw him in the action in Arlington, see what happens from there. So now everybody slides up a spot because he's not going to be available for that first weekend, most likely right now. And, Jordan Wicks is not a sure thing in the 5th spot, and we don't know if he's even won that job. So now you have 2 openings in theory, at least that first time through the rotation, and perhaps it's more. We don't know yet. Hopefully we get good news on Taillon. He's had back tightness before. The Athletic reported this weekend, and then 4 or 5 days later, it's completely clear. So hopefully that happens again. But there's a starter with a strong resume that remains unsigned. I mean, there's 2. But Jordan Montgomery is the one that, as a show, we've really invested in, I would say, since the winter meetings, since really as early as we could have. And
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. He still remains unsigned. And in my mind, Sam, he still remains a great fit for the Cubs. This is why a blocking conversation, as you indicated in some of your convos over the weekend on X, does not exist. Number one, you don't know if the prospects are going to be good. No offense to the prospect lovers. And number 2, blocking someone doesn't exist because injuries exist.
And number 3, Montgomery's good.
He's really good. He just won a World Series. So I have some contract terms in front of me that look similar to the Bellinger deal. If the Boris camp wakes up this week and is like, oh, the long-term deal isn't out there, the calendar's not on our side, eventually reality is going to hit for these dudes, just like it did for Bellinger and Chapman, I would presume. So I would really like to see the Cubs go to that would be the second threshold of the luxury tax and bring this guy in.
Oh, my turn. Okay. Matt, Matthew, Matty, Mateo, MFC, all these things, man. It's about money. Do they, right. If they are willing to go over the CBT, everybody and their grandmother and their mother and their father and their sister and their brother knows that Montgomery makes a lot of sense. If they don't get Jordan Montgomery, it has nothing to do with blocking anybody.
Right.
It has nothing to do with potentially thinking he might not fit. It has everything.
Finances.
It has everything to do with the tax purposes of this. And it's irritating. And I don't understand. Like, to me, even if Taillon comes back strong, this is just a great sign to say, man, we could really take a stranglehold, because we're going to talk about some weekend observations here soon, shortly, before you, I, and our good listener Travis watch the Illinois Fighting Illini take on the Hawkeyes, and we're gonna talk about stuff. This is good. This is a good team. There is a lot of offensive flexibility here.
Yeah, more than we thought.
I like what I'm seeing from Bush. I think Matt Shaw will be on this club by the middle of July, around Independence Day. And I'm not just spewing this stuff out.
No, you mean it. You mean it.
No, when I'm saying stuff, I mean it, okay?
Go Cubs.
Morel's bat looks electric. Seiya looks in midseason form. Bellinger looks like he hasn't missed a beat. Happ will be ready.
Let's go.
Day. This is a good team, but they need a little bit of help. And there's a left-hander that just won a World Series ring with an ERA in the low 3s, with a wins above replacement that was higher than your ace, Justin Steele, last year, just waiting for anybody to throw him a piece of fish. And so,
all right.
Sorry.
Well, that's fantastic. Okay? And by the way,
all about money with these guys.
As we get closer to opening day, I am starting to crave the real games more and more.
And you and I will split the bill tonight. We're going to probably treat Travis.
Oh, we should. We should.
Yeah, we should do that.
All right. So I got 3 years, 60 M's for Montgomery. Bellinger was 3 for 80.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going 3 for 60. That first year would be 23 M's because that gets you right up to the second threshold. I did the math there, about 234 they're at, so 257 minus 234. You put the second year at 20-ish. You put the third year at 17-ish. And the kicker here is that there's an opt-out after this year.
Yeah.
Which is totally fair.
And I've heard some stuff with Montgomery that he
23 M's.
I've heard some stuff with Montgomery that he really wants to stay in one place for a bit.
Yeah, he wants a long-term deal.
So he might not want an opt-out because he went from the Yankees to the Cardinals midseason, then Cardinals to the Rangers midseason. I think ideally he'd like to be close to his wife, who I believe is out in Boston, but they have no money either, Boston. I would even be open to saying, hey, this guy's a good pitcher. He's going to age well. I wouldn't even mind going 4 for 85 or 5 for 95 because every team needs a good pitcher, and I think he's going to age just fine, and he's going to be solid. And then what that does is it gives you some different flexibility. You could cover some holes with different pitchers, whatever. But it all depends if they go over the threshold. That's all it is.
Yeah, I know that a 7-year figure was floated for him, but I just don't see on March.
Nah, that's probably too high.
In mid-March how he's going to get that. So yeah, I like a 4 or 5 year figures that you're talking in the high teens or 20.
If they didn't have Drew Smiley, Trey Mancini, Jameson Taillon, if they didn't have these guys under contract, he'd be a Cub right now. It's purely a financial limitation that I'm sure Jed is saying, look, Tom, we win a division this year. You're going to get paid. People are going to watch this club.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
Please go ahead and do this. And it's up to him. And it may not, the odds are it's not going to happen. But I've always thought it's just a tiny bit more possible. I told you about this.
It is because teams are revealing that they're done. The Red Sox say they're done. The Rangers have said they're done. The Cardinals have said they're done. Where's he going to go?
Right. And then you looked at the kind of chemistry I thought that Boris and Hoyer had at that Bellinger presser.
I think so. I think that's a possible clue. Sure.
Now, I will say it is getting to the point, though, where if they don't get it done in the next 72 hours, he might not even be ready the first weekend anyway.
Well, he missed the first time through the rotation.
Yeah. You don't want to because one of his biggest value points is his durability.
Speaking of odds, I did want to say, since we last spoke of FanDuel projections, the NL Central odds haven't changed much, but the win totals have. The Cardinals have dropped down to where the Cubs are at 84.5. Yeah. Which I've taken note of. Reds 81.5, Brewers 77.
The Cubs are a better baseball team than St. Louis.
Wow. Love it. Coming up next, let's go over a lot of observations from spring training over the weekend. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tournament. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sports book. That's right. March Madness is here. We're in the midst of conference tournaments. The NCAA tournament is right around the corner. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, on money lines, and you can even pick who's going to win it all. Speaking of the favorites right now on the men's side, there's a trio of them: UConn, Houston, and Purdue. While on women's hoops, the favorites are South Carolina, LSU, and Iowa, as the Hawkeyes three-peated at the Big Ten Championship on Sunday. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. FanDuel, the official partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. I have a list here of observations from the weekend, Sam, but let's pause right away after this first one as Justin Steele has been named the opening day starter. What was inevitable is now official, made by Craig Counsell on Saturday. And that was nice to see, wasn't it?
No. I mean, that was a foregone conclusion, don't you think? I mean, I'm kidding. It's a joke. Everyone's going to jump on me. Of course it was nice.
I thought you were, I fell for it for a second.
No, of course it was nice. He's a no-brainer. I mean,
no-brainer.
I guess you could have made an argument that there was like a 1% chance they give it to Hendricks for seniority, but I thought for sure it was going to be Steele. He's deserved that right. He's the anchor of this rotation, and I think he's going to get a win on opening day. Beautiful play just now by Christopher Morel in the hole to save a run. Did not get the out, but saved the run. Bases loaded, 2 outs as Smiley continues his rough spring and is finding trouble.
Go Cubs.
Ian Happ is improving and might play as soon as this week. Wow.
Great news.
What a turnaround for him. Patrick Wisdom did return. David Peralta making his debut on Tuesday as he still recovers from elbow surgery in October. I didn't realize that he was still really in recovery mode. While Dom Smith had a hand injury, but he actually came back earlier than he thought. We did talk about Imanaga and Hendricks in the first segment. We'll keep tabs on them as spring training moves forward, and maybe they reveal more or less of their pitch mix, depending on who you're talking about there. And I did want to give a shout out to a reliever that I had close to my opening day projection last week.
Carl.
And when we do another one this week, he'll be on there, Sam.
And that's going to be Carl Edwards? Is it Carl Edwards?
Carl Edwards. Let me read you his line.
He's been awesome, man.
This spring, 4 innings pitched, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts.
He looks the eye test. And can I give a shout out to a fringe player?
Please.
I'm liking what I'm seeing from Garrett Cooper.
Yes. Say more about him.
Well, I did some research with Cooper. This is a guy that's a career 268 hitter.
He's had a nice career.
And he was an all-star. He was a 20 home run guy.
2 years ago.
Yeah, and so obviously he doesn't have the natural power that Wisdom has, and with their role on the team, it's really just hey, who do you like better versus lefties? But Garrett Cooper is the more polished, better hitter. I don't think that's close. As Garcia with the bases loaded on a 3-1 pitch pops out, Smiley's going to escape. Bush under it.
There is momentum happening here.
I don't see. It's really interesting. Like, he's good enough to be on this team. He can hit, man.
I wonder if to open the year that there is a path to him and Wisdom making it.
Well, that would mean Wisdom would slide over to the third base spot, and Madrigal doesn't make the team. Yeah. And a lot of people, like, I've had a lot of arguments about this Morel third base thing. So I just want to reiterate.
What's to argue about?
Well, I just feel like, because people are like, it's Morel's job, and Counsell said that it isn't.
Right, he was very clear about that.
He said it's going to be something that gets solved throughout the year. I think Morel's going to get some starts at third, but I think it's going to be rotational, and they have to be careful. This is a guy that has played 180 big league innings at third base. He has a 91% field percentage and 5 errors. It wasn't much better in the Dominican during Winter League, and I think it was Thursday or Friday where he made 2 more. So
right.
Just because he flashes some brilliance, it's not that type of thing where you just hand somebody the keys there when it could cost you games. We just saw what happens. You came up 1 game short. You're going to proceed with caution. Yeah. He's going to get his opportunity, and so are other people.
Yeah, because even if he starts, he might not play the last. He might not close there.
And his bat needs to be in the lineup every day, regardless.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
It's really starting to open my eyes, his bat.
Well, possible third base news here to close this segment. The Giants did play Speedy Davis on waivers, but the Cubs are unlikely to claim him because they have Morel, Madrigal, Mastro, Wisdom, and Matt Shaw. So I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and it's more money, so
I'm sure they're talking about it at Sloan.
Well, what I don't understand is if they claim him, then they go over the tax anyway.
Right.
And they're so far down on the claim process. They're like 17th.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see why they would go over the tax for JD Davis with the parade at third
Well,
base.
yeah, I think the counterpoint would just be like Madrigal goes off. Maybe they get rid of
Right.
Bodie and Madrigal, so then they go back even. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know how this stuff works, man. To me, I would have loved to have a little bit of safety at third base beyond,
Sure.
because really Mastro hasn't played much third all spring. It's been
Not too
Madrigal,
much.
but I think he could play there, and I think Shaw eventually will be able to play there.
Yeah, just that would be what, 100 games in?
Yeah, the thing is
That's a lot.
everybody with Morel is so into it because it sounds great, right? Hey, let's give this guy a shot. It's going to be great. Opening day, we lose 5-4. He makes 2 errors and short and steals outing. You'll see how different everything changes, right? So
yeah. No, we had a great discussion about that last week.
yeah, so you just got to be careful with it. I think Council's approach is the right one. He's going to play a little bit, but I'm not committing him to being the guy.
I like that. All right, we're getting closer to opening day. A great number on today's episode, 17. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV, a great new partner for us here at Locked On. Fire
Watching
TV.
it right now, dude.
It's Sam's utilizing it right now. This is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as, like Sam is using, the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournaments, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. And they recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. This includes all of us here at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive in to all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date and all the latest in the world of sports, not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust us on this. To learn more, visit Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. 17 days from opening day. As we count down those days until March 28th, we are taking a look at players in Cubs history who wore that jersey number. And there's 2 main players that wore 17. The first is from 1988 to 2000, and the second is from 2015 to 2021, Sam. And that would be Mark Grace and Kris Bryant, 2 great Cubs at the corners of the infield. Mark Grace was a hits leader most of the 90s. Kris Bryant, you could argue, was the best player on a world championship era team.
Oh, you couldn't.
And
that's a fact.
Man, today's a great day, 17. These 2 dudes could just flat out rake, and they meant a lot to the organization. Obviously, KB more so than Grace, but good memories. Speaking of rake, there's a base hit by Master Boney.
Cannot argue that Kris Bryant was the best player on a World Series team. That's true.
He was, yeah.
Who would you rather have in Cubs history? It's a fun one.
Yeah.
It's the classic debate, right?
Yeah, I'm a rings guy.
You were the best player and a World Series champion on the most important championship, arguably in this city's history.
Arguably in sports history.
Or do you go with the guy that was overall had the much better Cub career, over 300 hitter in a Cub uniform? To me, I think Bryant's the more impactful Cub, but I think Mark Grace is the better pure hitter. And the better overall player that I'd probably rather draft for 10, 12 years at a time, because Bryant his health, it's just all health.
Right.
His health hasn't been able to stay there. If you're telling me who would I want for 1 year? I mean, give me peak Bryant over Kris Bryant or over Mark Grace all day. But over the course of 10, 12 years, it's just Mark Grace is a better health gamble.
And a little bit of trivia bonus.
He could really hit, man. Mark Grace could really, really hit.
And without batting gloves.
Oh, he was such a good old school hitter. People forget Game 7, 2001, Mariano Rivera, Diamondbacks, Yankees. He started that rally with a base hit.
Yeah, no, he had a nice little bit of an open stance.
Oh, he's
took the ball the opposite way.
There are no let me read you Mark Grace's career stats. I pulled them up for this segment. He's a 303 career hitter with a 383 on base, but his OPS is only 825 because he didn't hit homers. Who cares? The guy was a pure hitter. Average, bat to ball skills. Look at the strikeouts. He never struck out more than 56 times in a campaign.
Wow. That's telling.
Look at this, Matt. Let me just read you this.
56?
Look at this. I'm going to read you his walks and strikeouts. 60-43, 80-42, 59-54, 70-53. So he walked every year he was in the bigs. He had more walks than strikeouts.
That's impressive.
This guy was a pure big league hitter. There are none. That doesn't exist anymore outside of the Freddie Freeman.
That's crazy.
He was a special hitter.
He struck out once every 3.5 games.
He was a pure hitter. He was old school, and he doesn't get enough credit because he played in an area where everybody hit. His Bodie fouls one away.
Any interest in naming the 8 players that wore 17 in between Grace and Bryant?
No interest.
Well, here, I have some clues in front of me if you want to do pyramid or password style.
I don't really feel great about this.
All right, let's try it, though. We got a couple more minutes.
Do we?
All right, Lofton Ramirez trade. Lofton Ramirez trade.
Did Randall Simon wear 17?
No.
Other
way.
Not. Oh, who we sent back? God, all right. Let me get my mind there.
I got pretty good clues, but some of these are obscure guys that we might have to skip. But there's some good ones.
All right,
this one you should get.
All right, I know, dude. Give me a second. Okay, so I remember Mike Fontenot wore 17.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. I don't remember who got traded. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
In the Pirates deal, who was it?
Bobby Hill.
I wouldn't have got that ever.
You're not going to get Calvin Murray. He played 11 games for the Cubs.
Give me a couple more hints.
All right, the next one at bat.
Okay.
So skip him.
Can you give me a hint of somebody I might get?
Let's see here. One-time outfield prospect phenom. He wore this number for a short time.
Felix PA?
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. He wore this number for one season after being acquired from the Rays.
Not Carlos Payne. Oh, Matt Garza.
That's right.
Okay.
Pinch hitter extraordinaire. He was a longtime Cardinal before he signed with the Cubs.
Lefty.
Yeah. Lefty hitter, righty thrower.
Yeah, no, I know who he is. I could draw a picture of him. His name's not coming to me. John?
That's right. John Blank. Mabry.
John Mabry. God darn it.
Do you remember that dude that got hit with the pitch in his one at bat? That's the other dude that wore 17.
Oh, yeah, I do. I was good. Greenberg.
Adam Greenberg.
And then they made a story about him.
Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On
I don't like
Cubs.
these numbers trivia. I'm not good at them.
You give us 20, then I'll skip it, okay?
You do it, dude.
You give us 20 to 30. Well, maybe we will. And we'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube.
Bodie grounds out the second. Innings over. 1-0 Cubs.
And leave a 5-star review on
You didn't even
Apple,
tell me the other
Spotify.
17s, man.
That was all of them.
Who's Calvin Murray, dude?
For Sam Olber? Exactly. For Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On
Cubs.